Christophe from the Stevanato Group. You made a presentation that was very appreciated an hour ago. Tell me first a little bit about Stevanato Group before we come into what you said.
Stevanato Group is the biggest private company in the field of packaging for parenteral drugs. And Stevanato is based in the north of Italy, close to Venice, and is the world leader, for example, in the field of glass cartridges that are being used for insulin for diabetics.
And what you talked about here was actually about some how to digitalize those kind of products. And is there a reason for doing that? And how do you do it?
Well, most patients who have a chronic disease today, they essentially have to manage their condition for their entire life. And it's a fact of normal human behavior that remaining adherent to a practice that is non-natural is difficult. And if I want to make a long story short, the adherence to the treatment is roughly 50%. So either people not taking their drug or not taking their drug according to the way it was being prescribed, or not taking it at the right moment and in any way endangering their life for the future. The consequence of non-adherence is usually that you are starting to have problems that will, I would say, materialize probably a few years down the road. But when they materialize, they're going to be incurring a very heavy cost for the healthcare system. And so people are saying better to spend a little money on the adherence in order to avoid the problem that we may have tomorrow. But then when it comes to that, having people to adhere is about having behavioral change. And behavioral change of human beings, I don't know if you tried before, it's tough. That's essentially the rationale.
And you work together with Zapar, or did I get it right there?
Yeah, actually what we found is that if you want to get in touch with people, the immediate, I would say, intuition is to say the internet goes everywhere. So let's go with the internet in order to reach out to patients. And actually the internet is only a possibility, but if ever people are not aware of your app, of your website or whatever, there is no way you can get in touch with them. And there is, I would say, a little something that does a better job is the packaging of the drug that people are taking themselves. The insulin cartridge is making its way to the patient every day and very efficiently, and sometimes several times a day. So we wanted to find I would say, the connecting link between the packaging and the screen of a smartphone. And there came the idea of starting to scan our products and whether we would add a little tag on it in order to do that. And we bumped into Zapar in particular because we have a group of very talented people who have now established, I would say, a kind of a standard, making tags that are extremely easy to read from a user experience standpoint. You can be near, you can be far, you can be moving, you can be whatever. It's going to work in all cases. And this was exactly what we were looking for. We were stepping away from the QR code and data matrix or whatever, which require very specific distance, light, and so on. QR codes and data matrix were invented for the supply chain. I think Zapar has really invented the thing, but for human beings. And this is what we were very impressed by, and we wanted to collaborate with them to make our first demos in there.
But you still do need an app for this.
Yeah, absolutely. We still do need an app to do that. It's our job today to give a good reason for people to go and download it. So it goes through different channels. The first experience we have today, for example, is that doctors like it a lot because they like the fact that the patient is going to be given more information, is going to maybe ask less stupid questions about the treatment, and in any way be more educated. So there is a higher chance that the patient has less misunderstanding about the treatment is all about. And actually doctors turn out to be efficient advertisers of this kind of content, and they very readily mention that there is an app that is existing, and even in the office of the doctor sometimes they are making the download in order to help people start with it.
And you also did sort of a survey among people what they want from a technique like this, and you came up with some points that you presented in your paper earlier. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, the big surprise to us was actually when we started to talk in particular to diabetic population, was that, to make a long story short, people spend less than 2% of their day managing their drug treatment. And they have to manage the rest of the 98% of their day, which doesn't have anything to do with insulin or glucose, but some aspect of these 98% are nevertheless going to be influenced by the fact that they're diabetic. And this is overall an unexplored territory in which is going to be everything from food to social life to libido, sex, whatever. Everything, every aspect of the life of any human being is going to be influenced by that. And if ever you want to help people in this area, there is no off-the-shelf solution. But there are some ways, typical parameters, as you were saying. Whenever you want to motivate people over the long term, you have to serve them basically these 6 parameters. So we like very much to work on the basis of a couple of theories from social psychology, the theory of planned behaviors in particular. One of the first parameters, and probably the most obvious, is to give a meaning to time. Whenever you are a chronic patient, you're a chronic patient more or less for the whole of your life. And so how can you nevertheless fix an objective? What a milestone may look like for a diabetic patient whenever he knows that in any way, whatever milestone he's reaching, in any way the situation is going to be similar for the rest of his or her life. So this is typically what you have to do, is to give a meaning onto progress, onto what was the past. What is that you're trying to reach in terms of freedom, self-respect, self-esteem, how much you're involved in a community of people that are appreciating who you are just for what you are, in which you don't have any justification to give to the attitude that you have because you're just another person. All of this, in the end, boils down to very simple arguments that are kind of obvious for almost everybody, but are far from obvious whenever you have to manage a chronic disease.
And we are standing here in front of a big sign saying A+B. It doesn't say Stevanato Group. What is A+B?
So A+B is going to be the company number 8 in the galaxy of Stevanato Group. Stevanato Group is a group that is made of 7 companies as of today, and which have different type of business model and different activity. The most well-known is OMPI, that is making glass containers for the pharmaceutical industry, but you also have Spami, Alptrail, Inoscan, SVM, Balda, and now there is going to be A+B, which is going to be providing some services in order to make this content, this digital content, which is going to be attached to the scanning of packaging.
But you also said this is not only for yourself, it's for the customers also. They can come to you with whatever package they have if they like to use this technique. Is that true?
Absolutely. The first, we started initially with the glass containers. We had to put a tag on it because a transparent glass containers is not easy to recognize with a video camera. But you're totally right. Now, come with your packaging as it is. We educate our scanner with your packaging, whatever it is. We do not modify it. So it can be anything that can range from a pillbox to an auto injector, to a pen, to a car, to a bottle of perfume or whatever. We recognize the object essentially, and now we are moving to the next level with A+B by attaching some content onto this type of onto your packaging.
Okay, Christophe, very interesting, and good luck in the future.
Thank you very much. Very kind of you.